We'll have more news in reaction to Trump RX in a moment, but we now have a Fox News alert. Savannah Guthrie's brother, Camron, just posted a video on Instagram moments ago.
This is Camron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Joining me live from Tucson, Arizona, is Paul Mauro, Fox News contributor, former NYPD inspector. Paul, the brother Camron didn't speak much in that first video, so it's certainly something to hear him now. They know time is not on their side here, and this takes it up a notch of something so intensely serious and grave already.
Yeah, Laura, and what he's doing very clearly is re-emphasizing the message that was delivered yesterday in that first video, which was, if in fact that ransom note that came in by email that we've all heard about that went to TMZ and some of the local outlets, not the one for which somebody was arrested today. That was just a tag-along of somebody who was trying to make a score. But the one that the FBI is pulling at and the task force is working, that did not include any protocols to communicate with the kidnappers. And so if you're sitting where the family is, you're saying to yourself, even if we want to pay, and I think that's the subtext here, there's no way to set up an exchange so that they know they can get their mother back, which of course is part and parcel of any kidnapping. And you see this in the ransomware world. There's special protocols to set up that you can speak so that the perps don't reveal who they are and where they are. These people have not done that, and I think it undermines the potential genuineness of this ransom note that came in by email.
Yeah, Paul, at first we thought it was perhaps another hoax after they're clearly prosecuting those who seek to try to benefit from this in a sick and twisted manner. They've already, they're already prosecuting one individual. I'm sure there'll be more. But there must be an indication that beyond just the Apple Watch, that there's something here. And the significance, something you've addressed, of authorities not revealing how the kidnappers got into that home. I don't think that can be overstated. That is very important.
It is, of course. And, you know, there's an interesting point that came out today in the press conference. The sheriff backed away the idea that there'd been forcible entry. And that's a bit of a 180. And I'm going to tell you why I find that significant, Laura. They initially said that they got DNA and that they sent it off for a very rapid fire analysis, would take 12, 14 hours to get back. And I asked the question today, are you using that DNA to do genetic genealogy investigation, as they did in the Koberger case, to try to get a relative or something like that? And I got kind of a shaky answer. My point being, I don't think the DNA has panned out. They didn't get any alien DNA. I think they would have gone to that, just like we were told unequivocally that there's no video. And, you know, I hate to be a damper, but let's remember something. Very casually, they let slip today, that is, the sheriff said, one of the things we're going to be doing is blanketing the area with billboards. If you thought you were going to get video, if you thought you might be working a good piece of DNA, if you thought you had a good digital lead or video lead from cameras relative to a car or something, would you be going to billboards? So I found that somewhat dampening, but I don't want to be a killjoy. I want to say I do think that they will solve this, but of course it's a matter of time here because of her illness and her age.
Yeah, there were a number of things that were said at this press conference that, and again, you're the expert here, but that sounded curious to the layman, the laywoman. And one of them was when the sheriff conceded that he didn't get to the scene until late in the afternoon, or almost 7 p.m., I guess. But he didn't realize, if it may be relevant, right, to who the suspect is, he didn't realize that it was Savannah Guthrie's mother until late in the afternoon. And he's receiving, you know, it's easy to be an armchair critic and so forth. He's receiving a lot of criticism, or the Pima County Sheriff's Office is. I would like to know your reaction to the timeline of the authorities and the securing of the scene etc.
So it may have come over to him like just an elderly missing. And so if there were people there, that is his people there working the situation, and they didn't realize the significance of who she was, they might have been thinking, well, you know what, it's an elderly person. Maybe she wandered off. We're going to canvass for her. Maybe we got a missing person. It wasn't until they figured out a couple of things, maybe see the blood droplets on the front of the house, they put the connection together to Savannah, that they really started to ramp up and realize, hey, we very well may have something worse. And then, of course, the Ring camera from the front of the house is ripped off, and various other things that we've heard about, maybe something broken inside the house, maybe began to coalesce for them later in the day when they realized, hey, this is not a garden variety missing. But I think the underlying point is, it's very hard to consider that this would be non-targeted. The chances, you know, it's not like the house screams wealth. It's a nice house, it has a pool and all of that, but it's not, you know, the chances of it happening like just, okay, they were going to do a random burglary and it turns out to be Savannah Guthrie's mother, that's pretty remote. And so you have to think targeted, somebody who knew the target, somebody who knew the area, someone who had done some recon, and that argues to me something more localized than some of the theories we're hearing.
Yeah, I mean, again, the fact that the FBI is, you know, big presence in Tucson. I mean, there are a lot of missing people across the United States every week, and there's a huge FBI presence. And knowing President Trump, and he's doing this big RX event tonight at the White House, but knowing President Trump, I could imagine him watching the press conference, the first press conference, and getting really frustrated, because I think that the information provided was unclear, whether it was targeted, not targeted, entry, forcible, not. And it's being described tonight in a place like the Daily Mail as bumbling, and he really likes Savannah Guthrie, and I just think he was like, this is ridiculous. We've got to get professionals in there. I mean, that's how I'm reading this. Maybe it's wrong, but it seems to me that at the outset, this could have been handled a lot better and perhaps with a quicker result.
Well, one thing I would say is that certainly the messaging could have been better. It's hard to see behind the scenes. I would just say this, Laura. We had the same kind of reaction, or many people did, relative to the Koberger case, relative to the Tyler Robinson case, relative to the Luigi Mangione case. Two of those pieces are still innocent until proven guilty. But we all want the instant gratification. Sometimes the messaging isn't great in these situations. Maybe it's law enforcement that's not used to dealing with such a big case, although they've had big cases here. But I get the impression they got their legs under them now, and they're really searching hard for something they can pursue. This is where the FBI is going to, I think, be so crucial, because it's going to be digital stuff. Did something hit her Wi-Fi? They're going to be looking going backwards, not just the night of. You got to see, was somebody in there shouldn't have been? Was somebody in there a lot? Was somebody stalking Savannah? There's a lot of digital work, and what you can do now, the Bureau can do now, is they have AI capacity, and you can cut down by weeks the amount of work you would have to do, the real footwork. And so I'm still very hopeful. As I said in these other cases I've name-checked, they're going to get there, but it's a matter of time because you have this elderly woman.
Yeah, and again, time is not necessarily on our side here, as we hope for the best. And the sheriff said, we are acting as if she is very much alive. Paul, you've been on this from the first moments. Thank you very much. And if you're just joining us, moments ago, Savannah Guthrie's brother released a new video about the abduction of his mother.
This is Camron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.